that make our community a great place to live. I just speak on behalf of our constituents at the JCC, our members, our staff, our board of directors chaired by Laura Rubenstein, to thank the county executive for making himself so authentically available. Maybe that's a fourth A, right? Authentic, available, accessible, and accountable. But we're so honored tonight to host these types of opportunities to bring our community together, ask a lot of questions, take in the information. We're all better together when we form these types of relationships. It's an honor to have you all here at the JCC. Thank you so much.
Tonight, we will continue our fiscal year's 2024 budget discussions in District 2, hosted by your County Executive, Johnny Olszewski Jr., and your Council Member, Izzy Patoka. After the County Executive's budget presentation, our residents will have an opportunity to share their budget-related priorities at one of the designated mics located here in front of the auditorium. The County Executive, the appropriate department head, or Councilman Patoka will address your inquiries, concerns, and budget-related ideas. And if we cannot answer a question this evening, we will have a coordinator from the Office of Community Engagement follow up with you. And now, without further ado, it is my honor and privilege to welcome your Councilman, Izzy Patoka.
Thank you, Mandy. And thank you, Barack Herman. And thanks to everyone that chose to come here tonight. And welcome to the beautiful 2nd District of Baltimore County. I just want to take a moment to introduce what I believe, and I'm biased, I will admit that I'm biased, what I believe to be the best council team in the state of Maryland. I want to acknowledge, I'm going to ask each one to stand. My Chief of Staff, Justin Silberman. Special Projects Manager, Carlos Gonzalez. And Jenna Mitchell, who is Legislative Aide in the 2nd District Council Office. Now that's just part of the team. We have a much larger team in partnership with the County Executive, and it's really great to see them here tonight. For example, we have a large group of educators here. Yeah, give them a shout out. That's about our children. We have our law enforcement officials keeping us safe. Saw quite a few firefighters and first responders here. Yeah, they're doing thumbs up. Rec and Parks advocates, Jeffrey Budnitz and company. So it's really the reason I point out, and I don't want to miss anyone, but it's all of us working together to make the 2nd District as strong as it can possibly be. It is a beautiful place. The geography of it has changed over the past year. But now the geography of the 2nd District is every single neighborhood that resides inside the Beltway from Windsor Mill Road all the way to Charles Street. And while the geography has changed, it remains the beautiful 2nd District of Baltimore County. We've had some significant successes in the first year. There's some really important initiatives, open space initiatives, that we were successful with, like Paul's Farm Park, like Church Lane. Shout out for Paul's Farm Park. All right. Church Lane Park. Saw quite a few folks that worked on Church Lane Park. And Woodley Park. It's not in the 2nd District anymore, but it's still beautiful and still an important place in Baltimore County. All right. There you go. We got quite a few folks that have put significant amount of hours in the Pikesville redevelopment, Pikesville Armory redevelopment. So Pikesville Armory folks, give yourselves a hand. Don't be shy. You guys aren't shy with me. Just because the county executive is here doesn't mean you have to be shy. You're not shy with me. Okay, there you go. And also, thanks to the county executive, we had significant success in pedestrian safety initiatives. But tonight we're looking to the future, and tonight I'm glad that so many people showed up so that we can work together as a team to address the future needs of the 2nd District and all of Baltimore County. And so I just want to thank you so much for allowing me a few moments to speak and to share some of the thoughts and some of the successes we've had over the first 4 years. I hope to replicate and grow on the successes into the 2nd term in partnership with County Executive Olszewski, and more importantly, in partnership with all of you that are here today that could be doing anything else, but you chose to be here to improve your community, that you believe in your community, and if you believe, I'm going to believe. So without further ado, let me, Mandy, am I bringing up the county executive, or are you bringing up the county executive? Without further ado, an outstanding resident, not of the 2nd District, but of Baltimore County Executive, Johnny Olszewski.
We're going to give Izzy a brief respite, and then we will call him back up for question and answers. Good evening, everyone. It is wonderful to be in District 2. District 2, but first of the Town Hall series, so number 1 among Town Hall series tonight. Thank you to Barack, Herman, the entire team at the Gordon Center and the J for welcoming us tonight. If you walk through the lobby coming in, you'll notice it's just a beautiful renovation. Baltimore County was proud to support that. One of the many ways in which we believe in continuing to partner with our community organizations to drive progress. We have an outstanding team. You may have interacted with many of them in the lobby tonight. A lot of our directors, deputy directors. I do want to just shout out some of the folks who are helping me drive work every day. In attendance tonight, we have our administrative officer, Stacy Rogers, along with, I believe, 2 of our deputy administrative officers, Samir Sid and Rebecca Young. So 4 years ago, we started on a journey that talked about and was really rooted in our time in these town halls, and it feels really great to be back in person with all of you again. But we talked about what a more open, accessible, all the A's that Barack mentioned, what that meant for Baltimore County. And it meant first and foremost that we were an open government. And so partnering with Councilman Patoka and the council, we passed our first piece of legislation was a major piece of ethics reform. We created the Office of the Inspector General. We've grown that budget in dollars and positions every year since. We've created the first ever for Baltimore County public financing of elections. We have the Office of Community Engagement, and again, want to recognize Mandy for her leadership. And then Zach Basso is our District 2 representative here tonight. We created the county's first ever 311 service. We created BC Stat so that we are now tracking data and using analysis to drive our decision making. We have an open budget platform where even tonight you can go online and see down to the check where your dollars are being spent. And again, we created this town hall series just to remind folks, the 2 years prior to our administration, there were 2 people who testified on the budget the 2 years prior to me being sworn in as county executive. We are proud that partnering with you, with the council, we have engaged thousands of people meaningfully in this budgeting process, and Baltimore County is so much better because of it. As a result, we were able to come together. We wiped away an inherited $81 million deficit. We stood up what has been recognized as one of the best public health responses to the worst public health crisis of our lives. And together we made record investments in things like education, public safety, infrastructure, recreation and parks, and more. Just a reminder about our budget, where money comes, where it goes. We have about a $4.4 billion budget this fiscal year 23. It supports a lot of our operations, our day-to-day support for workforce and basic services. That's about 65%. About $3 billion supports our county workers directly, salaries, pensions, and other health care coverage. Money also comes in for things like property taxes and income taxes. They are our 2 largest sources to pay for where that money goes. You'll note that over half of our budget goes towards education here in Baltimore County, one of our highest priorities. From there, public safety is our second largest investment at $470 million. And we spend about the same on public works, another key community driver. In addition to our operating budget, which is the year-to-year, we also have a capital budget. That money is adopted annually alongside our operating budget. It's funded largely by bond debt. You may remember when you went to the polls voting for those referenda items, that's what's funding our capital budget. This supports our school construction projects. It supports the replacement and renovation of our police stations and our firehouses. It supports those parks that Councilman Patoka referenced. It supports community centers. Half of that capital money goes to our water and sewer. That is paid for largely by our Metro Fund. That's part of our water and Metro system. We have $200 million currently allocated in this fiscal year from a bond towards school construction and renovation. As we do our budget work, we try to balance really important investments with strong fiscal stewardship. So every year, Councilman Patoka and the County Council, under what's called Spending Affordability Committee, they come together every year and they basically give us guidelines about how much spending growth can happen in Baltimore County to remain affordable so that we can make those investments but do so in a way that's fiscally responsible. So at the beginning of the budget process, we give all of our departments a target with guidelines about how to thoughtfully work with community members to listen to these interactions and think about what their needs are in the years ahead. Part of that responsibility means we have to make sure that we continue investments in things like our retiree health care. So make sure that we're funding health insurance benefits for our longtime public servants, that we have a robust balance for emergencies, and that we have those goals balanced in putting our budget. So we expect that final report soon, but I wanted to just give last year as an example as to what we were provided. So last year, the County Council said that we expect about a 4.7% growth factor is appropriate for this year's budget, the budget we're currently in. Of that growth, of that $107 million, 45% went back into the pockets of our employees through the form of increased salaries. 25% went back to insurance contributions and OPEB, the retiree health care, to get us back on track because that was underfunded historically. 17% went to other required increases, things like electricity, gas, other increases in spending. And then left about 13% for new programs on the operating year-to-year structure. Now, 13% might sound like a decent amount, but when you factor in the fact that this included the additional ESOL teachers that we added to the school system budget, the additional counselors and support personnel we put into the schoolhouses, we responded to community requests and we created 2 additional tree forestry divisions in our Department of Environmental Protection and Sustainability. All of that new stuff fits under this 13% bucket. And I have to tell you, it goes really fast. The good news is, in addition to that 13%, we also have that capital budget. And in addition to the borrowing that we do every year to pay for our schools and to pay for firehouses, we put forward what's called pay-go. Pay as you go. We can put forward additional dollars because we've been good stewards to put aside some capital spending for other needs. So, despite our challenges, I'm really proud of the progress we've made. And like the councilman said, we're very excited about what that means moving forward. Think about how far we've come on education. This year's budget is $2.3 billion. If you factor in what's called maintenance of effort, and the state basically says to counties you have to do at least this much to maintain your effort. Based on enrollment, we increased our maintenance of effort in Baltimore County by $70 million from an enrollment-based perspective. That's a $91 million year-over-year increase in operations. We also have used this funding to make sure that we're moving in the right direction. So we have moved from largely middle of the pack when it comes to teacher salaries to among the higher paid counties. We've hired 300 new teachers, psychologists, social workers, and other support staff. growing our ranks, even though we've seen a decline of about 4,000 students since the onset of the pandemic. That unfortunately has not yet returned. We've also continued with a really robust investment in school construction. Over $3 billion of school construction over the next 14 years. What does that mean locally? That means a new Bedford Elementary School. That means a new Scotts Branch Elementary School. It means a new Summit Park Elementary School. It means a new Deer Park Elementary School. Now, these are schools that will be models for community schools, gathering spaces, and resources for the community. It will be an opportunity for us to expand free full-day pre-K for eligible children. Deer Park will be our county's first ever net zero school. We are moving forward and trying to find a location to build a new CTE center in northwest Baltimore County. We're also spending money to upgrade Chatsworth, Timber Grove, Glendon, and Millbrook. And so really this is a funding stream that charts an equitable path to ensure that we are spending resources in every community across Baltimore County, elevating the standards for all of our kids. Additional investments in this plan includes funding for CTE, for STEAM, for expanding pre-K for an estimated 8,000 young learners. This year's budget has $16 million of security enhancements for things like cameras, security vestibules, intercoms, and replacing indoor doors and windows. For the future, even though there's a really uncertain economic outlook, as a baseline, we've also reported to the Board of Education that they should go ahead and plan for an additional $10 million above maintenance of effort every year for the next 4 years. And again, we are committed to doing this regardless of what happens with student enrollment. Beyond our BCPS, public school system for K-12, we've also invested significantly in higher education. So with our community college, we have frozen in-county tuition. Every year we've submitted a budget. We've expanded our College Promise program for our youngest learners, which has provided now free tuition for just over an extra 100 students, going from 100 students in our first year to nearly 900 students this past year. So incredible growth in investing in our young people. We look forward to finding more ways for modern pathways to training and other opportunities. We've also modernized government services. We've brought back bulk trash pickup. This was a town hall special, something that people brought to us, and we said, you know what, you're right. So credit to Director DeAndrea Walker and the DPW team. We now have collected 1,900 tons of trash from almost 70,000 homes. We've hired more inspectors for code enforcement. We have a code enforcement dashboard. We're now getting back to doing proactive sweeps. We're investing in our seniors with things like creating an age-friendly Baltimore County. We are doing the No Senior Eats Alone Day to combat social isolation, and that program grows every year. In partnership with the Weinberg Foundation, we created the Because program so that we can go back into residents of our older residents' homes and help make sure that they can age in place. We've committed millions of dollars to improve senior centers, including this year funding for a repaved parking lot at Pikesville, and we will be breaking ground for an expanded Woodlawn Senior Center on Monday. Councilman mentioned other local investments. We are really excited about the work happening at the Pikesville Armory, and there is now $8.5 million available to continue to sustain that work, including to date over $2 million locally. We've invested millions in sidewalk projects, including for our Orthodox neighbors so that they can safely get to services. We have funding in place to repave and restripe, as I mentioned, the senior center, to renovate the bathrooms at the Pikesville Library. We have a revitalization action plan in Pikesville that we started to fund this year to improve streetscaping, revitalize the local business community, and keep the area litter-free. And again, this is done with all of you and in partnership with Councilman Patoka. And we're proud of what we've done in District 2, but we look forward to doing even more. Even as we think about local investments, we also want to keep both our specific communities and the county writ large safe. I'm proud to report that because of the hard work of Chief Delp and the men and women of the Baltimore County Police Department, we saw a 36% decline in homicides last year in Baltimore County. And our clearance rate remains among the highest in the country. So if you commit a crime in Baltimore County, the men and women of the police department, they find you and they hold you accountable. But we also know that while we want to support our law enforcement and our first responders, that violence isn't going to be prevented by law enforcement alone. So we have expanded police mobile crisis teams. We created an innovative 911 call center clinician program. And we believe in taking a holistic approach to public safety, investing in things like recreation and parks, making upstream investments in workforce opportunities, summer youth employment, and other ways to invest in our people. We also have been committed to sustainability in rec and parks and open space. We brought back glass recycling that was discontinued back, I believe, in 2013. We launched a tree equity program called Operation Retree, where we are going back into communities that are under-treed and being intentional and strategic about ensuring that they have a tree canopy. We partnered with BG&E to have electric charging stations throughout the county at various county properties. We installed a landfill to gas program at our landfill to convert what would otherwise be wasted methane and terrible for the environment into renewable energy. We also are, this year's budget alone, invest over $45 million in capital in parks and open space. Councilman Patoka mentioned the community park at Church Lane. We have a Ravens-themed destination playground at Northwest Regional Park in Owings Mills. We have the Paul's Farm project, and we have a parcel on Gwynbrook Avenue as well. Looking forward to doing even more there. We're also moving forward on transportation. We're reimagining how you all can get around Baltimore County. It's a top priority for us, and we have pushed the state year after year after year, especially on the Dolefield Exchange. We're proud to report that we finally have gotten the state to agree to move forward with funding on this critical project. Design began last May. Once complete, I think these numbers are pretty staggering. Drivers will save 5 minutes southbound and 12 minutes northbound. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot by itself, but you think about what that means for you every day to have an extra 20 minutes. And collectively, that's over 2,000 hours saved each day. That's 87 days that are given back to families throughout the year. After years of discussion, we finally got our first fixed route transit service, the Towson Loop, up and running. We have over 60,000 rides, even though it was done in the middle of a pandemic. We do believe that the Loop is a blueprint for replication throughout Baltimore County. And we are already in the process of conducting feasibility to expand into Owings Mills and look forward to other communities in the years ahead. We haven't lost sight of the basics, providing over $81 million of road resurfacing and traffic calming. And we're building stronger communities. That's where we've been, but we also have to think about where we're going. So we know that expanding economic opportunity, improving equity, and making sure that families have a safe place to call home has to be an imperative of us. It's just also the right thing to do. So we're proud that in the midst of the pandemic, we created the county's first ever Department of Housing and Community Development, and I think Director Terry Hickey is here with his team tonight. But last month, we announced a foundational package to move housing even further. That package will both establish a housing opportunities fund to support attainable housing units. It will create the first definition of a vacant structure so that we can take action against blight in our communities. It will update townhome construction policies to increase affordability of our townhomes and homes. And it will modernize our law so that more family members and seniors can age in place and stay connected to the people they love. I want to thank and acknowledge Councilman Patoka for his support and leadership of this critical package. And I think these do represent the next steps forward to transform us into a model of growth and inclusivity. We know that housing doesn't exist in a vacuum, though, so we're also focused on workforce, both investing in our county workforce, but also expanding opportunities for the community. We have to go beyond job creation, though. We have to also break down barriers. We were really excited to partner with St. Joe Medical Center and the University of Maryland Medical Center, and our community college to create a program that will connect under-resourced and our income-constrained residents with high-demand nursing positions. This has already been a model that's been picked up. We've been asked to talk about it to the White House. We just testified before the Health and Government Operations Committee in Annapolis, and the National Association of Counties is also touting this program. So we're looking forward to growing it and replicating it in other places. The last place we want to focus in the years ahead is our capital. We want to make sure that we continue the investments in infrastructure like police stations and firehouses that require significant investments to meet our modern needs. Continue our $3.3 billion roadmap for school construction, and make sure that we have the parks and recreations that are the amenities that our communities want and deserve. One other really exciting piece of infrastructure or capital-related comment is just yesterday, I joined the mayor of Baltimore, Mayor Scott, the secretary of MDE, and legislators from both the House and Senate from the city and the county to announce that we are bringing our water system into the 21st century. This water system is governed by an agreement that's older than I am. It was last amended back in 1972. So things have changed quite a bit since that time, and we are committed to making sure that this review has a safe, modern, equitable water structure and delivery system for water and wastewater for all of our residents. And I want to thank the mayor for partnering on this, as well as in Baltimore County, Delegates Sidnor and Ebersol will be our leads on that. So what's next for you is to tell us what you hope to see in the budget. We will have town halls throughout March with the colleagues of Councilman Patoka. I will submit the budget on April 13th. The council will take time to review it, and they must approve it by the end of May, although typically you all adopt it a little bit before that. I'm going to do something a little different before we turn the mic back to Mandy for instructions. We like to use technology in Baltimore County, and so I have just a few questions. So if you have your smartphones, if you have phones, you want to pull them out. We actually have a little bit of live polling. So this is going to be new. We're going to try this out before we turn things open. I think we also have sheets of paper that you can use if you can't catch the QR code on the screen. And then once you are logged in, this is now the first question is, how many town halls have you been to? So this is our 5th town hall series. So whether it was virtual or in person, but since we started, how many have you been to? I see a lot of first-timers. We love seeing that. I see a lot of 5-timers, too, which was pretty exciting. We've got 53 up to 55. We'll give it just another minute or two. But I'm encouraged. Thank you. So if you are a first-timer, why don't you just raise your hand again? Let's give them a round of applause for coming out and being part of this. And it's encouraging that, hopefully that's not all just staff who I really strongly encourage to be here 5 times, but I hope that it's a sign that the replication of attendance shows that we really try to be intentional about incorporating the feedback that we hear. It really does help drive our decisions. So next question, when it comes to the core needs of the county, I would say that Baltimore County is investing too little, just about the right amount, or too much. Don't worry, 1%. We don't know who you are. It's all anonymous. So, slight majority right now on just about the right amount, with a pretty strong too little and a few folks who think we're spending too much. Okay. If you had to tell me your top 3 overall budget priorities, I think there's a drop-down list beyond what's shown, and it will repopulate as you answer. But my top 3 budget priorities are school capital and operating, rec facilities, green space, ag preservation, pedestrian safety, road resurfacing, and there's a bunch of other ones. But you can put up your top 3. So the numbers won't be 100%, but we'll know. Feels like a race between all of our law enforcement personnel and our educators over here. Okay, I hope everyone's had a chance to register their top 3. We'll give it just one more second. Pretty overwhelming support for public safety and our school investments, and then rec facilities, green space. Sort of look like they're coming in as number 3. Was that the last one, Mandy? Was there one more? Oh, okay. I believe it's time to adjust the governance structure of our water and sewer operations. It's a good thing we announced that task force yesterday. And then is there one more? Or is that it? All right, well, thank you for playing along. No, this is actually really, really instructive to us. I'm going to, at this point, invite Councilman Patoka to join me on stage again. I'm going to turn things over to Mandy Remmel and the OCE team to go over our instructions, but the floor is yours. We look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman? Yeah. All right, so everyone, we are going to go ahead and get started into our... Yep, absolutely. We're going to start by, we're going to have everybody, we have 2 mics down at the front of the stage, so if you are here tonight to submit a budget-related priority or share your ideas with the county executive and county councilman, you can make your way here to one of our mics, and then you will have 90 seconds, or I'm sorry, our clock is actually set at 2 minutes. So you'll have 2 minutes to share your budget-related priority with the county executive and the county councilman. From there, if there is a question that you have afterwards, you can still submit your budget-related priority through email. So if we don't get to it tonight, or if there is a question you think of later, you can absolutely submit it by email, and it'll be open as we are continuing the budget process. So thank you all for moving this way. So we do have, just so you all know, we have Zach at this side and we have Verinda at this side, where they will be helping to facilitate questions. We'll go side by side during the town hall presentation. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Zach, we will start on your side.
Animal Services in Baltimore County. How many people here know where the Baltimore County Animal Shelter is? Raise your hand. Great. It's in Reisterstown? It's in Baltimore at Barks? It's in, what's the name of the road, or where? Manor Road? You got it. Okay, so the budget this year was $3.3 million for Baltimore County Animal Shelter. Now, that's not going to be enough in the future. And the problem is, I have an alternative suggestion, but the problem is, like, publicly run shelters are expensive to run if they have no support of a nonprofit. And in Montgomery County, they take in about 1,000 animals less than we do, And their budget this year was $7.1 million, and it's going to $7.8 million. Now, I'm not going to ask for more money. However, I am going to recommend that you hire a nationally acclaimed consulting firm experienced in animal service issues to assess the situation and make recommendations for options moving forward. The national trend among publicly funded open access animal shelters is to consider alternative models where they partner with a nonprofit to support all or part of their animal services, or contract with a nonprofit experienced in providing animal sheltering as well as animal control. This has shown remarkable success in Baltimore City as well as Washington, D.C. I believe both options are feasible in Baltimore County. Now is the time for Baltimore County to consider a more humane and cost-effective model. Hopefully, you will provide community stakeholders an opportunity to partner with the administration to create a better Baltimore County animal shelter for both humans and animals. Baltimore County can do better. Working together, we can make this happen. Once again, I'm asking for you to give me your time and undivided attention to this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. And I'll just say, if it's a presentation, the councilman and I think, usually will just thank you for the feedback. I am writing it down, so we'll have it in addition to the team taking notes. If there's a question, we're happy to also respond if we're able to, or pass it over to the appropriate department head.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Janet Silverman. I am president of Seven Slade Condominium in Pikesville. Each year for the past 20-plus years, my building has received a sprinkler system waiver every 4 years in order to avoid having to install a sprinkler system. The Baltimore County Fire Marshal, along with the County Council, took away that waiver and in essence has now given us 10 years to install a sprinkler system. Our estimates range from $5.8 million to $7 million. It appears while the decision was made to install a sprinkler system, the thought of funding for this project was not. Our residents are elderly, a large percentage are on fixed incomes. The fact of informing my residents now of a special assessment of this magnitude has created a flood of concerns. We urge, if not beg you, to please consider funding for this project. We are only 4 remaining buildings in Baltimore County that require this install. Therefore, there are long-term effects on the viability of our buildings. Sale of unit for 1, foreclosure 2nd, and financial disaster for 3rd. Our plea is please grant us some funding in your budget to help us. Nothing more than maintaining our existence along the Slade Avenue corridor and being a vital part of the Pikesville community. Thank you.
Janet, thank you. And County Executive, this is true for 7 Slade, 11 Slade, and also 1 Slade, so the 3 high rises on Slade. But thank you for bringing this to our attention today.
Hi, my name is Sarah Shelva. I'm the Chief Arts Officer here at the JCC and the Gordon Center for Performing Arts. I want to thank you both for your incredible past support and future support for the Gordon Center for Performing Arts, for arts and culture, for entertainment. As you may know, Baltimore County Commission, through the allocation of the Baltimore County Commission on Arts and Sciences, this center has received more funding from the county over the last few years than we've received in many years before that, and it has allowed us to do so much, from tribute bands and world-renowned live music like Los Lobos and Lori Berkner, to expanding our field trip program from 400 students in past years to over 1,800 students this year. Just a week from today, we will have 12 different middle and high schools here to watch Soul Defined, a really well-known dance company. These students don't always have the opportunity to be in these kinds of environments, and so your support has allowed us to expand our public school programs and art for the entire community, and we're just so grateful. So thank you so much.
Good evening, Mr. County Executive, Councilman Patoka, and community members. My name is Barry Williams, and I am Secretary of the Pikesville Armory Foundation, and I'm also a board member of the 1,000 Friends of Pikesville. Tonight, I'm requesting full funding for the Armory Place. This project will not only help revitalize an aging corridor, but has the real potential to become a destination place for the Northwest community. Once the Armory Place is fully completed, it has the ability to bring together all aspects of our communities, the young to the young at heart, all faiths, all ethnicities, red and blue on the political spectrum. As one who has some knowledge about the lack of recreational facilities in the immediate area, this project will go a long way to helping the Recreation Council from having to rent as many expensive private spaces for practice and games. A component of the Baltimore County Public Schools Career Technology Educational Program would make a welcome addition to the grounds. The possibility of a new state-of-the-arts library and senior center near a multi-purpose soccer lacrosse field, playgrounds for children along with a meditation labyrinth, pickleball courts, outdoor classrooms, and a full-size double gym seems almost too good to be true. But it can happen with your support, the private-public partnerships, efforts of the Pikesville Armory Foundation, and support of the community. Thank you for listening.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Stern, and I'm actually the Chief Program Officer here at the JCC of Greater Baltimore. And right here, we actually are proud to offer a camp platform that serves over 1,000 kids right here on this campus every summer. The proposed pool project will enable us to grow our camp community, and our slogan at J-Camps is "A great place to be me," where we accept everyone for who they are and provide an inclusion program that serves over 40 campers each summer throughout our platform of offerings, including traditional day camp, theater, tennis, teens, and really a lot more than that as well. J-Camps is open to everyone and is the largest pluralistic and non-denominational Jewish day camp in Baltimore County. We employ over 200 seasonal employees and is often the first job experience for teens and can be a transformative experience for many. We have maxed out our shallow space in our pool, and the proposed zero-entry pool is instrumental in teaching our youngest campers and campers with disabilities to swim. With a new accessible pool and bathhouse, we can also serve our JCC membership, including older adults and those with mobility challenges. The proposed pool will help so many in our community and enhance our ability to make children and adults feel welcomed, or, as we would say at J-Camps, a great place to be me.
Do you mind if I jump in because I'm talking about the same issue today? Don't mean to. Okay, thank you. Good evening. My name's Laura Rubenstein. I'm a business owner here in Owings Mills. I'm a Baltimore County resident. I grew up in Randallstown, and I am the current chair of the board of the Jewish Community Center. My first real job was to be a lifeguard here at the J. And I'm really incredibly proud to be chair of the board and now advocate on its behalf. It's the JCC's mission to welcome everyone to our Rosenblum Owings Mills campus, regardless of any person's age, gender, race, color, national origin, all of the legally protected categories. As an active user of the J, nothing makes me happier than to walk through these doors and be amongst my fellow community members. This is a special place. This is a gem, and I think you all know that. This is a special place to gather together. The JCC is extremely grateful to Baltimore County for helping us navigate through the pandemic, allowing us to continue to give people a safe way to connect, exercise, be entertained, make friends, and live a more purposeful life. I'm here today with my fellow colleagues to advocate for the proposed zero-entry pool and upgrade to our bathhouse. These changes will enable our summer camps and our pool club to better serve the breadth of the community, including individuals with disabilities. Imagine the dignity and ease that a person who needs mobility assistance will have when entering the pool via a gradual incline, not having to awkwardly climb up and down a ladder or sit on a pool lift. Imagine too all the babies, cue the baby, imagine too all the babies and toddlers who'll be splashing around and squealing with excitement as they sit safely in the shallow water with their caregivers. Finally, I'm proud of the JCC's ability to reach over 40,000 people yearly for its early childhood learning programs, camps, fitness, wellness, arts and culture, and more. Thank you for the opportunity to advocate for these amenities that will benefit our entire community. And we have a lot of J supporters here in the crowd. If you could please stand up if you are supporting this project. Thank you all for coming tonight. Yay, JCC. Thank you.
I counted like 10 me alsos, so thank you, noted.
Johnny and Izzy, thank you very much for the transparency. These have been a very big improvement over prior administrations, and it's just a good community outing. So I wanted to talk a little bit about land preservation tonight and open space. Izzy, I know you've made really remarkable strides here in this district on open space, and we appreciate that, particularly inside the Erdl. That green space is hugely necessary. I'd like to get, and I'm a board member with Valley's Planning Council, Land Preservation Trust, and a number of the kind of rural and equine-related organizations. And there's a huge, particularly in the latter component, there's a huge amount of job creation and sustainability that comes from that agricultural sphere. But really tonight, talking about land preservation, if we look at Baltimore County's commitment relative to its neighboring counties, we're a little bit less. And if we could get to, let's say, 1% of the total budget relative to 5 and 6%, that kind of range next door, that would be great. The state's put a priority to get to 105,000 acres of protected property, including 80% of the priority agricultural lands. And particularly outside the Erdl, I think we can double down on that commitment. We've been a national leader. We have to rededicate and continue to dedicate to that effort in order to make it happen. And if you do look at Baltimore County relative to Montgomery or Howard, you see why we have been a national leader in open space. So those two things, the good thing is it polls really well. 90% of the county residents support, fish and wildlife habitat, clean drinking water, ag preservation. So it's kind of a win-win-win situation. And I'll end with just one thing we can work on, I think, as a county is that, particularly outside the Erdl, developers play an outsized role in the rezoning and development process. And the reality is we have a lot of space inside the Erdl that can be redeveloped. And if the county prioritizes how that can happen and makes incentives for development and redevelopment to occur, where there is access to municipal services at low cost to the county, that would be an advantage to everybody. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, and I just wanted to remind everyone that the comprehensive zoning map process begins August of this year, 2023.
And I am so excited. Renee Hamidi, Valley's Planning Council, that was my board member talking about land preservation. We just passed 70,000 acres preserved in Baltimore County, which is amazing. Think how much more we could do if there was more money, although thank you for the amount of money that you have freed up. Baltimore County is using its money to buy conservation easements again for the first time in about 10 years, so that's great to see. I would like to ask the county to consider devoting more resources to upgrading and updating the sewer system per the 2005 consent decree. I don't think we need to wait for the task force to have its report. There are a couple of residential developments proposed in District 3 right now that will increase the load on the Jones Falls sewer shed in District 2, which is already far over capacity. And by the way, the developments will also increase traffic at already failing intersections along Falls Road in District 2. Agriculture is an important economic driver in Baltimore County. I hope some of the money that's being devoted to the schools will find its way toward supporting and increasing the budgets for ag education in the county schools. Finally, I'd like the county to consider developing and implementing a pilot program to determine if community composting could become widely accepted and practiced. This would keep tons of waste out of the Eastern Sanitary Landfill, which is anticipated to be full in the next 4 to 5 years. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I don't want to get ahead of our own announcements, but we do have American Recovery Dollars, which is something we didn't touch on tonight, but we do have money set aside to actually start working on doing some community composting. So stay tuned on that one.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rosalind Berkowitz, and I'm a recently retired forensic nurse examiner. I also serve on the Baltimore County Commission for Women, where this year I am vice chair. And I serve on many state and county domestic violence advocacy groups, as well as domestic violence homicide reduction groups, the fatality review boards. In 2022, Baltimore County had over 3,000 calls for service, domestic violence related to the police. The number is significantly higher than that because domestic violence is not a mandated report. So not everybody reports to police. Many of them do not. We also, in 2022, had 4,000 protective orders issued. In 2021, I don't have the 22 numbers yet, there were 58 domestic violence-related homicides statewide. In Baltimore County, we had 10, which is a significant number. To better serve victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, child and vulnerable adult abuse, across the country, people are creating what's called a family justice center. They are county-based, multi-agency, and multidisciplinary centers. Maryland already has 2 of them, one in PG County and one in Montgomery County. Unfortunately, the way things are today, a Baltimore County resident who has experienced power violence, which encompasses all of the types of violence, domestic, sexual assault, and so on, have to make many stops to get the service they need. They may have to go to the hospital, to the police station, to the state's attorney's office, to an advocacy group to get help with protective orders, to get help with social work services, and many others. What we are proposing would be one-stop shopping for victims and is the gold standard currently. There are well over 100 of these now across the United States. Baltimore County Commission for Women is requesting startup funds for a Baltimore County Family Justice Center, which would house current providers such as Dove, Turnaround, HANA, the Family Crisis Center, the state's attorneys, domestic violence police officers. They would all be located in one safe place so that victims of any of these can stop in one place and get all the services that they need. Thank you.
Thank you, and I want to thank all of our amazing commissioners for the work that they do and the advocacy that you all bring, so thank you.
My name is Jeffrey Budnitz. I'm an executive board member of the Lake Roland Nature Council, but before I start speaking of what I am here for, I wanted to thank you for passing the legislation that you worked on regarding the municipal sewer and water supply issues. I've had pleasure over the years of working with the fine staff at DPW in Baltimore County on a number of sewer and other municipal water infrastructure projects. Every time the ground is open, you get a true sense of how old the system is. So I think the need of that, the fact that Lake Roland is the intercept for the majority of the county for sewage, those improvements really make a big difference. I'd also like to recognize Director Barry Williams, former director on his comments for the Armory. I think that's a critical area in the county that's grossly underserved regarding recreation and park assets. So I think that project has been a long-term passion of his and a very needed improvement for District 2. The reason I'm here is for Lake Roland. There are two issues that I need to get funding for. The great team of Baltimore County Rec and Parks under the leadership of Bob Smith, and this is when I point to Bob and his team and they stand up and we clap for them. For all, come on guys, you can do it. That's more for the time they have to put up with me on a regular basis, but with that, we are a nonprofit organization that is the steward of the park. We have about $500,000 worth of equipment. With that, we deploy that on a volunteer basis at no cost to the taxpayer on a number of projects throughout the park. In 2019, we lost access to the Red Trail on Falls Road, which is both a patron safety issue and a maintenance access issue. Prior to that date, we had put down 850,000 pounds of trail materials, and since that date, we've not been able to continue. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, people have literally loved the park to death, and we need to get that restored. Bob's team has a plan that is ready to implement to return that access and increase patron safety in that location. There's another project in the park dealing with erosion in the main parking lot, which is also an additional patron safety issue. I conclude my comments. We have other board members present, but that's a replication of what we just talked about. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Do the other board members want to just briefly stand and be recognized then? Perfect, thank you.
Good evening, County Executive Johnny O and Councilman Patoka. My name is Jack Millman. I'm a junior at Pikesville High, and I'm here to talk about mountain biking. So just about 3 years ago, I started really getting into it, and it's been a fantastic activity for me, my friends, and especially my dad to do throughout COVID. And I just recently got my driver's license, and I'm excited to go out with my friends to trails. The problem is, the closest trail to us is the Loch Raven Trail area, and all those trails have become illegal, and the closest place is about 30 minutes away, and that's just not economical for me or not timely at all for me as well. Just getting thoughts and movements towards mountain biking funding would be greatly appreciated for me and all the people who love to do mountain biking in this county. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Director Smith, do you want to make quick reference? I don't know if it's public yet, so I don't know if we can say where, but we are actively pursuing a parcel that would allow for that opportunity. Is that?
Sir, you are correct, Sir, you are correct. It is not public, and we are actively looking at a site, and hopefully we'll have an announcement soon.
And then for anyone who's interested, so Jack, we'll also make sure that you get connected with the Rec and Parks team. So as soon as that's done, and our commitment is to hopefully to get this to pen a deal to do that, we'd love to have you be part of the planning process and be part of those conversations. So,
County Executive, I'd like to thank Jack for speaking. He's a junior at Pikesville High, and I have found that we can learn so much from young voices. Last night at the council work session for the Bring Your Own Bag bill, we had another junior, not from Pikesville High, but from the Park School, bring testimony forward. So it's great to see young folks become active in their community. So thanks again, Jack.
Good evening. My name is Gero Verheyen. I'm the president of the Lake Roland Nature Council. I'm here on behalf of the park. I want to echo Jeffrey Budnitz's comments on the upgrades to the sewer line, as well as echo our appreciation for the work that Bob Smith and his team at Rec and Parks are doing to help us make the park a better place. There are two things I wanted to mention. One is the importance of reestablishing the access to the Red Trail entrance on Falls Road. As Jeffrey mentioned, it's a safety issue as well as a maintenance issue. We're concerned about how people are parking and then getting into the park along that very busy section of Falls Road. But more importantly, it's a question of patron safety within the park, because the Red Trail at this point is not passable for first responders needing to get into the park if somebody gets injured. And there are a couple of sections of that trail that pose a safety risk to patrons. So that's one. The second item is with respect to the ongoing feasibility study with respect to the East Coast Greenway project. We've been involved in some discussions with advocacy groups, and we stand ready to partner with the county to ensure that that is successful and that we find the best solution. So once we're at a discussion stage, we'd like to be very much involved in those discussions to make that a successful project. And last but not least, but unrelated to Lake Roland, I want to thank the county for its support of the Maryland Cycling Classic on Labor Day weekend. I think it was a great event. It brought recognition to the county, to the city, to the state of Maryland. It's the only international level cycling event in the country in 2022. So thank you.
Thank you. And the cyclists themselves raved about Baltimore County's roads and just the experience here.
Hi there, my name is Joe Millman, and that was like music to my ears to hear that Bob and you guys are moving forward, hopefully with some parcels. So that's really awesome. A quick aside, I had to use 311 2 weeks ago. My recycling was not picked up, and the guy that I spoke to was citizen focused. His service was great. I hung up the phone with him, and I think within an hour maybe my recycling was gone. I could not believe it. So really cool to have that service, and it really worked great. Kudos to you guys and the team that put that together. So yeah, I too am here to talk about mountain biking. As you know, we kind of got shut out of the Oregon Ridge Master Plan, which I'm a hiker. I love bird watching. I completely understand. I think that's going to be an amazing project. Loch Raven, which sits in the center of our county, there's 70 miles of trails there. It is phenomenal. It's illegal because it's run by the DPW, which is the antithesis of Baltimore County when trying to work with them. I mean, they are. I would love an off conversation another time to show you the deck we put together that, more of the organization that does all the maintenance for the trails. We work with 70 parks in the area. The only one we don't work with is Loch Raven. We do all the maintenance. It's all volunteer. It's phenomenal. So that's kind of a separate conversation. The parcel of land, Bob, like the nice thing in the mountain biking world is we travel, we go to different states, we go to Frederick, we go over the state. We stay in hotels, and it's an investment in the land, but it comes back to us in the taxpayers because we're going to the restaurants, we're going to the bars, and we're committing to the communities when we go there and we visit all these places. So it's the tax revenues that'll come back. So Bob, I look forward to getting Jack maybe a little bit more involved, and that's really wonderful. But thank you guys so much, Izzy and Johnny, for what you guys are doing. It's super cool. Appreciate it.
Buenas noches, señor Ejecutivo. Primero que nada, muchas gracias quiero agradecerles por dos cosas primero. Quiero agradecerle porque en el año y 3 meses que ha estado Juliana con su gobierno, la comunidad inmigrante, la comunidad de nuevos americanos se ha sentido bienvenida y sentimos que tenemos un espacio en el condado. Agradecemos enormemente que tenga esta oficina de nuevos americanos. También quiero agradecerle a la traductora, su nombre es María, que está haciendo un excelente trabajo, porque es gracias a ella que vamos a podernos comunicar con usted. Entonces, primero quería agradecerle por eso. La segunda cosa que le quería comentar era que en su presupuesto del día de hoy de educación, qué bueno que están pensando siempre en la educación, que siempre están sacando más dinero para la educación. Sé que tenemos muchos problemas con todos los maestros, porque nunca hay maestros suficientes, pero no vi rubro para maestros de inglés como segundo idioma. Sabemos que nuestras comunidades inmigrantes, ya sea de refugiados, de asilados, de nuevos americanos, está creciendo y de verdad, si queremos enraizar a estas familias en el condado, necesitamos maestros de inglés como segundo idioma. So first of all, I want to thank you very much for having Juliana as part of your government, because in the year and 3 months that she has been with you, the immigrant community has really felt that we do belong in the county. We have seen a big difference, and one of the differences that we can be here because of her invitation and because of her letting us know about these events. I also want to thank the interpreter. Her name is Maria, because she's doing a wonderful job, and it is because of her that we're able to communicate with you tonight. So what I wanted to say is that I really appreciate your budget on education. You're doing a great job, and thank you for all the money, but there's always a but. But there's never enough teachers, and we don't have English as second language teachers. There's a deficit. We need to find more resources for that, because the immigrant, the new American community in Baltimore County is growing, and if we want to root them in the county, we need those children, well prepared and immediately go at the level of any other ethnicity. So please invest in English as second language teachers. If we can't find them in the county, let's look for them elsewhere, but let's bring them because we need them. Thank you.
Gracias.
Good evening to the County Executive, Councilman Patoka, and Baltimore County leadership. My name is Jaron Shaw. I want to start by thanking you for your continued investment in our local parks. I'm here today to speak about Old Pimlico and Green Summit roads. It's crucial for our county to allocate some relatively small budget for a protected bike lane along this road. The county currently has plans to repave this roadway and install an unprotected bike lane, which would be the first bike lane in our district per the county's draft pedestrian and bike plan. While this is a good start, conclusive research has shown that the design is not nearly as safe as a protected bike lane. Together with a team of experts, I helped to draft a proposal for a protected bike lane on this road, which was submitted to the Department of Public Works. The proposal outlines the benefits of a protected bike lane in our county. We are still waiting for a response from DPW on our proposal. We have also been told that protected bike lanes are undesirable because cars have the tendency to hit the barriers. This same out-of-date viewpoint, which our neighboring counties have moved well beyond, is reflected in the county's draft ped and bike plan, released a few months back. Myself and others have commented extensively on significant gaps in the plan, and we look forward to the next draft. One major such gap in the plan, as well as in the design for our local road, relates to this neglect of protected bike lanes. I strongly encourage you to consider this proposal and to help make our county safer, a more livable place for all our residents. I also want to say that I want to support Jack and Joe's previous comments about mountain biking. I am a representative of MORE, the Mid-Atlantic Off-Road Enthusiasts, and we're, as Joe mentioned, a nonprofit. And we're here and ready to volunteer our time and our hours and our tools to improve the trails at Loch Raven whenever land management is ready. So, thanks.
Good evening. My name is Susan Bollinger, and I'm the president of the Baltimore County Volunteer Firefighters Association. And on behalf of all of our members, I want to thank both of you for your partnership and all the support that you've given our organization in your first term. And thanks to your support, in fiscal year 22, we were able to start replacing EMS units out of our capital budget. We're happy to say the first 3 of those units have been approved and are in production or ready to go into production. This allows companies to replace their unit every 6 years without having to come out of pocket for a down payment from our loan fund. It also allows money to stay in our loan fund to be able to replace engine squads and trucks that they haven't been able to do in recent years because most of the funding has been going to EMS units. And to comply with the KKK standards and in order to keep our units safe, we've also had to replace the stretchers and stair chairs on most of those units. And unfortunately, all of those costs have been increasing at a rate of about 18 to 20% a year. So we're looking for you to continue that commitment, and unfortunately, in order to stay with that 6-year replacement schedule, which we need since the units are mostly running between 1,000 and 2,000 calls a year, we need to increase that number to $2 million a year in order to replace 4 units a year. So that's our ask. And we also want to make it clear that the BCVFA did their VFI study in 2014, and that study showed that the volunteer service was underfunded. Since then, the county has done their affordability study, and again, it showed that the fire department was underfunded, and we have now done the facet study, which again shows that the fire department is underfunded. And even though it's a tough budget situation, we're looking for you to try to find creative ways to try to put some money out to fill some of those gaps, because we've been kicking this can down the road, especially on the volunteer side, for a long time, and a lot of our infrastructure is suffering. And I'd like to use the analogy that our volunteer service is like a house, and if you don't maintain it, eventually it becomes outdated, it decreases in value, and eventually it'll fall down around you. We would like to renovate our house, recruit new members, retain those members, and have the resources to train them and provide the best service to the citizens of Baltimore County and make that asset an even greater one to the county and its citizens. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. The house has already been addressed. I'm not going to waste my time with the second, so I'm doing 2 hats today. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I have a privilege of wearing the hat tonight for Southwest Area Education Advisory Council. My name is Marlena Colleton Purcell, and I am simply here tonight, and you'll see me District 1 and District 4 too. But I'm simply here tonight to advocate and make sure that you understand, as your poll has shown, that the school system really, really needs the support of the Baltimore County. We are really in a position as parents, stakeholders, community activists, we're in a position now to do what we can. We want to know what we can do. We want you to be able to meet us this way. My other ear over here is only because I'm in the GTCAC meeting right now that's going on. So I just wanted to take this time to let you know to support the budget that has been presented. Understand that infrastructures and buildings are going to crumble over time. Students are not doing it intentionally. The walls do need to be held up with the finances. Please provide that as much as you possibly can. Support our teachers. As a teacher, I know you know that the living wages need to be met as well. Now, my other hat for 40 seconds. I do welcome Councilman Izzy to the other side of Liberty Road, right at Northern Parkway coming up. We need your support. Because you're new, I don't want to take the time tonight, but we need a facelift from Liberty Road, Northern Parkway, all the way to Patterson, coming up Essex to Essex Road. The facelift is needed and desired. So I'm hoping that we can work with you in the future. We, County Exec, I've come here before. It's the same thing. The federal buildings where we have our post office needs an uplift. We need businesses to be able to come into the lower Liberty Road. Thank you so very much for your time, and I'll see you 2 meetings from now.
We'll see you there. Thank you for all of your involvement. In addition to being a student in the school system and a teacher, the most important job I have is parent of a Baltimore County student. So I appreciate the comments about the school system.
Yes, and I am a parent as well.
And then on the Liberty Road corridor, we actually just kicked off with a consultant to look at creating a community development organization, and she's going to be looking throughout the entire corridor about opportunities there. So we are actively looking with, and we want to make sure that we get you connected to that work as well.
Thank you so much for your time.
And thank you for your comments. So I think there's great opportunity in the Liberty Road corridor because it's our gateway. You have the park, and it's full of opportunity. The park at Flannery Lane
Yes.
is where you enter Baltimore County, and just a few blocks up, the post office is a great opportunity. And I think as you go further northwest along Liberty Road, there's more and more opportunity. But we have to really dig in and work at this together. And,
Yes.
and count me in as a willing partner.
We thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for having us here tonight and letting us speak. I didn't need these 3 years ago. I do now. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kathleen Resnick. I'm president of the Pikesville Volunteer Fire Company. The 29 volunteer fire companies save Baltimore County over $60 million a year. Baltimore County Fire Department, which includes career and volunteer members, is one of the largest departments in our area, but has a significantly lower operating budget. A third-party evaluation was completed by Facets and funded by Baltimore County taxpayers. The report found many insufficiencies in the Baltimore County Fire Department. The report states that overall volunteer system needs significant support from Baltimore County. One example is our existing Fire Rescue Academy. Baltimore County Fire Department is unable to meet the essential training needs of the volunteers. Page 5 of the report states, quote, overall, the Baltimore County Fire Department lacks sufficient fiscal, physical, and human resources to accomplish its core mission. Additional funding is required to consistently meet national standards and, as importantly, the service level expectations of Baltimore County residents, businesses, and visitors. Twice in the last few months, my company, the Pikesville Volunteer Fire Company, conducted training at the Fire Rescue Academy, but the lack of facilities and staff, we were unable to perform live burns. We had to bring our own fake smoke to perform this training. Both these trainings, there was no Fire Rescue Academy personnel present. This type of training does not allow our members to adequately train for real responses. The Fire Rescue Academy is just one example of how Baltimore County Fire Department is lacking compared to other jurisdictions in our neighboring surrounding area. I could speak all night about the 60-page Facets report about the insufficiencies found in the study. The report, by the way, can be found online. Baltimore County spends less on fire protection and EMS than its surrounding counties and cities. I'm asking the county executive and county council to correct the significant deficiencies within the Baltimore County Fire Department to protect the fire and EMS personnel and all the citizens we serve. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathleen. Appreciate all that you guys do. Chief Rund, do you want to speak briefly about the report and take this opportunity to say me also? More money for the fire department.
Good evening, everyone. Chief Rund here, and me too. I appreciate greatly the partnership that we have with our volunteer corporations. They are a significant help to us in this system. And I can't speak to anything over and above what Kathleen did because it's very truthful. We did have a study that did provide us some significant input with regards to that. But we also have a great partnership with the county executive and his team and the administration, and Madam Mayo and the DAOs, and they are working very closely with us to try to take everything into account and do the best that we can, because we do look out for the health and safety of our citizens, and that is our goal. So thank you, Kathleen, for bringing this forward, and boss, as always, appreciate your partnership.
Good evening. I'm Larry Fogelson. I'm on the board of Neighborspace and on the executive committee. I'm not one of your younger mountain bikers, but I'm here for Neighborspace of Baltimore County. I'll switch this around a little bit and mention the projects first that are in this district that we've been involved with and are still, I think, ongoing. Powhatan Park for the Greystone community, Carol Watkins Park, and missing one, Greystone. Anyway, I would like to ask you to support adequate long-term funding for Neighborspace of Baltimore County. Neighborspace is a land trust established by county law and has been working for 20 years to fulfill the role that the county government has charged us with, working with communities to create small community parks. I'm glad to see a lot of interest in recreation and open space in all of its manifestations tonight, and I think we're an important part of that puzzle, particularly at the local community neighborhood level is where we're most operating and where most of the need is, a lot of the need is. We've accomplished this so far in the last 20 years with minimal part-time staff, countless contributions of time and resources and dedication from board members, the public, and volunteers. This work requires more than just acquiring and developing land. It often requires community ownership, participation, support for each project to get their buy-in, and a sense of community ownership and willingness to continue their maintenance and support of these parks that they've worked so hard with us to develop. In a way, this provides a free service to the county and its residents. However, it is not free. NeighborSpace is to continue, if we're to continue to be effective and improving its mission, it must be able to rely on meaningful, long-term support for staff and other resources from the county. Thank you.
Good evening, and let me be the first to wish everybody a happy Groundhog's Day. It's tomorrow. It's going to be cold this weekend. Anyway, my name's Alan Rudy. I'm a volunteer firefighter, EMT, for almost 45 years in Baltimore County, and I'm here to speak on behalf of all Baltimore County volunteer fire and EMS members who share the task of protecting the citizens of Baltimore County. I'm chair of what's called the LOSAP board, which consists of incentives for our members who are active for a length of time. I could explain the whole thing to you. We'd be here 2 hours, so I'm not going to do that. I'll give you a quick overview. There's 3 awards, and it's not a pension, it's just an award. A member with 25 full years of active service receives a monthly stipend upon turning age 60 as a thank you for their quarter-century of service. These same members also receive a burial benefit to cover expenses of their funeral after they pass away. And the third thing was done by Maryland State, provides an income tax deduction for all volunteers in the state that qualify with a certain amount of active years of service. So during the past few years, we watched as other jurisdictions, some neighboring to us, have enhanced some of these benefits while we've stayed stagnant. We met with Councilman Patoka, and I can't say enough how wonderful he's been to work with, and I know he's on our side with this. Some of these include stipends for active members, a significant reduction of property taxes for those that live in Baltimore County, for instance, increased burial benefits, and monthly rates that align with the cost of living. Another neighboring jurisdiction has tied the monthly award to 1% of a starting career firefighter salary in that jurisdiction. Recently, the entire state of New York started a property tax incentive for all their volunteers in the state of New York. We've actually seen other members that come from other jurisdictions gravitate back to that jurisdiction because the benefits, quite frankly, are a lot better. We are hopeful in being able to have a budget increase to initiate some of the benefits that we can at least implement internally. But when the preliminary numbers came out, we realized that we're not giving the funding to cover our current expenses, much less adding other things to it. Despite the fact that a third-party study that we just heard about all said that the Baltimore County volunteer system and the fire department in general is underfunded. The last time the LOSAP award was increased was 2018. Since then, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics have said that you get 15 less spending power than that amount due to inflation. The Joint Economic Committee estimates that the average Maryland family was paying $838 more per month in November 2022 than they were in January of 2021 for all the same goods and services. And lastly, Social Security since 2019 has actually increased 20%. So we are searching far and wide to do things to attract, recruit, and retain our volunteers. Unfortunately, some of these have a cost, but in the scheme of things, most are not an enormous cost. We are hopeful that the budget of the fire department can be increased to add some of these to make for better service, fire service for the citizens of Baltimore County. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. And as you explained to me, this is really about recruitment and retention of first responders in the volunteer fire company. And as I see the educators lined up behind you, recruitment and retention is important to them. The law enforcement first responders here, recruitment and retention is important to all of these folks that perform the nuts and bolts of government and public service. So thank you.
I just want to jump in really quick, as we do have to be out of here by 8:30. We just are asking all of you to please keep your comments to the 2 minutes. The timer is located in the corner here by Zach, and just to be mindful of that so we can make it to hear everyone here tonight. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jim Paulson. I'm a resident of Pikesville. I've lived in Pikesville for 47 years, and I'm here to support what I think is one of the most fantastic things that's happened to Pikesville in my entire tenure, and that's the Armory project. The Armory has something for everyone in this room. It has something for everyone in the Northwest. It has developed, I personally am working on a couple of volunteer committees, and it seems to be morphing into more of a community center, a cultural center, a community center. And of course, part of that community center would be the arts, the visual and performing arts. As a retired art professor of 43 years at Towson University, and as a working, still hopefully, working sculptor, my interest, of course, is in the development of the Armory as an art center. And I do believe that the Armory can be an art center and a cultural and community center at the same time. As an art center, the Armory would attract people from all over the state. It would really put Pikesville on the map, and it would be a fantastic, point of promise and accomplishment for Pikesville. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Cindy Sexton, Tabco President, Elementary School Librarian, and you've heard me speak, so you know I'm going to talk about the priority of retaining and recruiting our educators. A properly staffed school will help improve learning outcomes and help address discipline concerns, but we can't appropriately and effectively meet the needs of our students when we don't have the staff. And while BCPS had made strides in increasing starting salaries, we still rank 9th in the state in career earnings. What we need is a step in the right direction, and that's that salary scale compression we won with BCPS last year. That is our budget priority. And historic restructuring of the salary scale so Baltimore County can compete with the other school systems in Maryland, and our students can have the best opportunities for successes. A healthy school system means a healthy county. People move to locations because they want their children in the schools there. Property values rise, money is brought into the county, and the rising tide raises all ships. Our students, indeed the very future of all of us, are the priority. We must take care of them and do all we can to prepare them for whatever future they choose. And that starts by making sure they have the educators they need. Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy.
Good evening. I'm Dave Ginsburg, Chairman of the Veterans of the Pikesville Armory, and as a result, Vice President of the Pikesville Armory Foundation. I represent the veterans that currently use the NCO Club at the Armory and the history that needs to be honored and preserved. The unit that fired the first artillery rounds on bloody Omaha Beach on D-Day came from Pikesville. In 2017, a Governor's Commission was created to determine the future of the Armory and, more importantly, to determine the needs of the community at large in the Northwest. In what I call the Pikesville miracle, a unanimous decree actually came out of that commission, one that determined that we needed to honor the military history, create a dynamic public space, create a venue for cultural arts, create green spaces, fields and courts for our kids to play, revitalize the economic corridor of the Northwest, and unite a diverse community. That's become the blueprint for Armory Place, and Baltimore County needs to continue to fund this vision into reality. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Taylor Warren, and I am a lifelong Baltimore County resident, proud graduate of Baltimore County Public Schools, and currently in my 8th year as a BCPS art teacher. BCPS recently released their budget proposal for the coming school year. Upon first review, educators thought there must be a mistake. The budget includes a scheduled step increase, but no cost of living adjustment. It makes no effort to implement the compressed salary scale or move toward the blueprint mandated starting salary of $60,000. But there was no mistake. Adjusted for inflation, educators are taking a pay cut, while the County Council voted last September to increase salaries for future council members and the county executives by nearly 10%. Public education is the foundation of a democracy. Teaching is the job that makes all other jobs possible. Yet BCPS, with hundreds of unfilled vacancies, is failing to prioritize competitive salaries that will help to recruit and retain educators. I am wholeheartedly in favor of oversight and accountability in school funding. That is precisely why educator salaries should be a top priority. We know exactly where that money goes, and we see a direct positive impact on our communities when educators choose to work and live in our county. Please prioritize public education by using your voice and your vote to fund educator raises and pass a budget that puts our schools and the teachers and students within them first. Thank you.
Well done.
Good evening. I'm Jack Rehberg. I'm a board member and treasurer of both the Pikesville Armory Foundation and Thousand Friends of Pikesville. I'm here to support full funding for Armory Place. This project is a hidden gem in our community and is critical to the future of Pikesville and the communities in and around the Pikesville area. Armory Place will provide improved outdoor fields and activities for all ages in our community, will become the center of a revived business district, and provide space for indoor sports, art, and recreational activities for all ages, including our senior citizens. I believe it is important to also note that the project will clearly benefit the entire Northwest community, not just Pikesville. This new project will provide 14 acres of indoor and outdoor activities and services for our community. The county must fully support the renovation and rededication of this incredible community asset. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Beverly Folkoff, and I'm a special education teacher at Relay Elementary School. And I've been a special educator in this county for about 16 years at this point. A rumor that I often hear is that teachers make enough money, that the county already dedicates 55% of its budget to education, and that's more than enough, and that I make a good salary for only working 191 days a year and 6 hours and 45 minutes a day. But I don't work for 191 days and 6 hours and 45 minutes. My day starts at 6 a.m. when parents start texting and emailing me. I get to work 30 minutes early to prep my classroom before my students arrive. I work through my duty-free lunch because I don't know when else work is going to get done. I do my work, and because of the teacher shortage and the substitute shortage, I also do the administrative tasks for the classroom next door because they don't have a teacher or a sub. My pay day ends at 3:50, but buses often don't come until 4:15, and I'm waiting with my students. After buses leave, I finally get a chance to start planning and prepping for the next day. That's an 11-hour workday. The idea that I won't be receiving a raise next year is heartbreaking. It feels like I am personally being told that my hard work is not valued, not needed, and not wanted. And I am far from the only educator that feels that way. Teachers are running out the doors of our schools. If this county wants to maintain teachers and continue to have schools where our students are loved and able to learn, then it is critical that we find a way to provide educators with the compensation that we deserve, that we need, and that we've earned. Thank you.
Councilman, County Executive, thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for this. This is awesome. My name is Kristen Zeminski. I am president of the Colonial Village Neighborhood Improvement Association. I'm also the mother of a very active toddler. And so I'm here to ask for your full support and funding of the Pikesville Armory. District 2 is in dire need of a green space, an arts and cultural center, and athletic fields, everything. We're constantly spending time and dollars outside of the district just because neighboring districts have those, and we don't. And we have this gem that can totally fill that void and cover so many aspects. So I'm here to ask your support for that. I think it's just a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I really appreciate everything you've done for us up to now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening. Excuse me. My name is Marcy Cook. I teach at Patapsco High School. I've been a teacher for 26 years, 23 with Baltimore County. I'm on the TABCO Board of Board of Directors, and I'm also the membership chair. I made this sign about 2 years ago, right before COVID. It still holds true. Please help us stop the exodus of educators from BCPS. The mission statement of the membership committee is to recruit and retain lifelong educators, or as we like to say, DFQ, don't effing quit. The rate of retirements and resignations is far outweighing the number of teachers entering the field and staying in the profession. Last year, I taught at the Crossroads Center, and our program changed. Some of us stayed in the county. 3 people went to neighboring counties. 1 took a leave for mental health. 1 resigned to work in a whole other field. And 1 transferred and 2 weeks later resigned and now delivers for Grubhub. It's really challenging to watch our county hemorrhage educators as we are. They are leaving for a variety of reasons. The ones left are taking on extra workloads, and our students are suffering. There is something that the county council can do to help the situation. You can fund a budget that allocates the funds to help compress our salary scale, which includes raises, keeping our educators in Baltimore County. We cannot afford to lose our educators to the surrounding counties that are offering more compensation. Their school systems are offering COLAs without having to fight for them. We are getting offered nothing. We just can't afford to lose educators. Who will teach our future students? Thank you.
My name is Max Rosga. I'm the Vice President of the Greater Pikesville Rec Council, a volunteer, and also a board member of the Pikesville Armory Foundation. I'm here to stress, just like everybody before me did, the need, Pikesville needs a community center. With the Armory, that would solve so many problems for kids from 4 years old to people in their 80s. Gives a place for a community to meet, do things, and have sports. Thank you.
It's almost like we have a little bit of a theme going on.
Good evening. First, I want to thank the county executive staff and council staff who are here this evening for all their hard work in putting tonight together. I'm going to speak on 2 issues. First, on behalf of the Student Support Network, a nonprofit organization assisting students living in poverty in Baltimore County Public Schools, we thank the council and county executive for summer SNAP funding program supporting children living in extreme poverty that provides $100 per child per year, $30 per month in the summer, and $10 for winter break, because summer is the worst time for food insecurity as children are not getting free meals in schools and family child care costs increase. And the question is, will you support not only continuing the summer SNAP program, but extending it beyond the 5 to 18-year-olds all the way to babies on 0 to 18, so that all children in Baltimore County have food during the summer months and winter break? And secondly, wearing my arts hat, and we are in this great arts venue, that's Sarah Shalva, did you look here? And great arts venue. The Baltimore County Arts and Science Commission does a great job and has funding and has grants. And last year struggled to have the staffing support from the county that it required in order to do its job. Will you commit to providing them with the staffing that they need to ensure that the many arts organizations in Baltimore County receive their grants in a timely manner? Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. We were proud to do the expansion probably one of the largest expansions, I think, in the state. We are absolutely committed to sustaining that. If you haven't connected already, I know that other folks at Student Support Network have been talking to our folks in HHS. I believe that there is a WIC program that covers some of the younger individuals, but we want to make sure that all of our folks are being fed. That's just sort of our goal. And anything we can do to improve our grant program, we're very proud of it. But if we can make improvements, we'll certainly work with you. So.
It's finally my turn. Okay. My name is Hillary Crystal, and I'm a retired registered nurse, longtime District 2 resident, and a lead volunteer with the Student Support Network. I want to thank you for your tremendous support of our food distributions at Owings Mills High School when schools were closed during the pandemic, and each of your personal visits to help us at our distributions. In my work volunteering at Owings Mills High School over the last 3 years, I have become aware of the severe level of food insecurity in our neighborhoods. With the shutdown of many food resources since the end of the pandemic programs, many families are struggling with food insecurity. 63% of Owings Mills High School students live in poverty. That's over 900 students. And this number is probably underreported. The threshold for free lunch is $36,000 for a family of 4. Language barriers and lack of computer access create problems for some families to even apply. I ask that free breakfast and lunch programs are restored for all Baltimore County Public Schools students as they were during the pandemic.
Yeah, and again, you all do incredible work. Thank you for volunteering. We are fully supporting, there is a piece of legislation before the General Assembly that would sustain the free and reduced meals for all students. As it was pre-pandemic, we believe in knocking down those barriers. It's not just good to have access, but it takes away stigma. Even students who wouldn't otherwise qualify need to be fed. So we're in full support of that. We would encourage you to contact your state senator and your delegates to convey your support for that. It will absolutely allow us to continue that in partnership with the state. So we're hopeful that legislation passes. But thank you for your advocacy.
Good evening. Anna Weisberg, voter, Towson, reading teacher, actually hired to be a resource teacher, Deep Creek Middle, filling a vacancy out in Essex. Imagine you are tutoring one 6th grader on phonics. You would do a great job. I bet, and as you saw their reading skills grow, you might find your mutual success deeply satisfying. Now imagine that instead of 1 2T, you have 15. They have attention and learning needs, emotional and behavioral challenges. 15 of them needing something different at each moment for 90 minutes. Can you imagine? Despite being a veteran teacher at a school with good family support and exceptional leadership, I am not enough. It is not satisfying. I am failing our Baltimore County children along with you. Our grade 6 phonics students need more competent grown-ups to help them attend, respond to their individual concerns, address their emotional and behavioral needs, and to help make sure each gets what they need to become a competent reader. And they need those grown-ups to stay. Do what you know is necessary. Budget for BCPS to be the most competitive district around so we can recruit and retain the grown-ups our children urgently need. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving me a chance to talk. My name is Dr. Ralph Brown, and I'm president of the Oregon Ridge Nature Center Council. And I'm here tonight to represent the thousands of people all over Baltimore County who love Oregon Ridge. Last year, when it was learned that the county was thinking of giving over some of our forest acreage to a private enterprise, a grassroots movement sprung up. People said no, and I want to thank you for listening. But preservation is just the first step. And currently at Oregon Ridge, we have miles of eroded trails. We have hundreds of acres of degraded forest that's overrun with invasives. There have been several, in the past master plans, and I just want to read a quote from one that was in the 80s. It said, a quote, "From an ecological standpoint, the preservation and enhancement of these lands must assume priority." And then in 2007, there was a forest assessment of Oregon Ridge that said the forest system, including the herbaceous plants and wildlife, is the county's most important natural asset at Oregon Ridge. Currently, there is another master plan being developed, and from the preliminary presentations that have occurred, it looks like they're concluding the same thing in regard to Oregon Ridge. And the people obviously want the park to be preserved as a natural landscape, but they also want it to be cared for. So I'm hoping that in the coming budget, there'll be funds for improving our trails, for rehabilitating our forests, and for hiring the necessary staff that would be needed to see this implemented. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You are correct. That is where the report is going. It will affirm those findings. As a result, I've already worked with Director Smith and his team. We are already in the process now of doing the trail work, both the places where we know we can just go in and start making investments, but also the preliminary work to prepare the way for that preservation and that restoration. And we have in prior years' budget put several $1 million in place to already, so we can commence with that work immediately, even before next year's budget. So we will begin that work. So thank you for your work.
Couldn't ask for more.
Absolutely.
And I just want to thank both of you, Izzy, for coming and walking the trails with us, and for Chief Executive for you sending Carmen Christiana to also walk the trails with us so they could see the conditions themselves. Absolutely. Thank you.
I actually made my senior leadership team walk the trails when we had our retreat that summer, so we all walked them as well.
Buenas noches. Gracias por la oportunidad. Mi nombre es Carlos.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Carlos.
Yo estoy aquí porque mi comunidad ha sufrido muy duro la pandemia y sabemos que ellos no tienen el acceso al seguro médico.
I'm here because my community has suffered a lot during the pandemic, and we know that many of them do not have access to health insurance.
Sé que hay una propuesta en Anápolis sobre el seguro médico, pero ¿qué tienen preparado ustedes si en un dado caso no prospera esa propuesta en Anápolis?
I am aware that there is proposed legislation in Annapolis to address the need of health insurance, but should that fail, what are you going to do about it?
Mucha de nuestra gente sigue falleciendo porque no tienen un seguro médico y tienen que cubrir los gastos, y ellos no tienen el poder o el derecho de poder faltar un día a su trabajo porque no tienen la oportunidad de ir a un doctor a que los chequeen cómo están.
Many people are dying from conditions that are not being treated because they don't have health insurance and they don't have the luxury to take a day off to go see a doctor. We know that our community needs health insurance.
Y yo como padre de familia que tengo una niña con discapacidad, yo tengo que estar bien de salud para poder cuidar a mi hija. Y si no tengo un seguro médico, simplemente no lo voy a poder hacer. Y muchas de nuestras familias siguen falleciendo y siguen muriendo. Me gustaría que me respondieran qué tienen ustedes en mente para hacer por mi comunidad. Porque nosotros pagamos impuestos como cualquier ciudadano de aquí, pero no tenemos el derecho de un seguro médico. Y no es justo que nuestra gente siga muriendo y sigamos contribuyendo a este país y no nos sigan haciendo caso y simplemente nos ocupen para las elecciones, para que siga ganando un presidente u otro, pero simplemente no hacen nada por nuestra comunidad.
As a primary caregiver of a child with disabilities, I cannot afford the luxury of being sick. I have to stay in good health. But if I should get sick, how am I going to take care of my daughter? Many of the people in my community do not have health insurance, and we are just like every other person in the county. We live here and we pay taxes and we contribute to the well-being of the county, but we are not afforded the same benefits that other people are. What will you all do to support our community so that we are no longer dying?
Gracias.
Gracias, thank you. So I would say a couple of things. First, in addition to having our government affairs team advocate for the policies you mentioned in Annapolis, which we're happy to make sure that we get a sense of what the actual bill is. We also are supporting issues like the governor's earned income tax credit that he announced today at the State of the State. Maryland's actually very thoughtful and forward-thinking in requiring just an EITN versus a Social Security number. When I was a legislator in Annapolis, I also was the lead sponsor of legislation that required employers to give earned sick days so that people can actually take off time to care for their family in those instances. Should the legislation you referenced not pass, Juliana is a rock star and has done incredible work. We would love to circle back up following session with Juliana, with our Department of Health and Human Services, to determine how we can better connect you and others, frankly, to all of the resources that are out there. Gracias.
County Executive, I want to thank my friends from CASA for joining us tonight. And also, I wanted to note that the 2nd District Council Office is the only council office that does offer bilingual constituent services through our Special Projects Manager, Carlos Gonzalez. So always feel free. Now, we don't have the capacity for those federal and state issues, but on the very local issues, we can help, and Carlos does a great job at that.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Germán Salgado, represento el área de Olszewski, la Iglesia de Dios Hispano. Quiero dar gracias.
Good afternoon, my name is Germán Salgado. I represent Owens Mills and Iglesia de Dios Hispana.
En este momento quiero agradecer por toda la ayuda que nos brindó durante la pandemia. Creo que fueron arriba de 3 millones de cajas de alimentos para las personas cuando tenían hambre, pues la comida estaba lista para ellos por medio de usted.
First, I want to thank the aid that you all provided during the pandemic. We received over 3,000 food boxes for people that were hungry.
Pero en este momento continuamos con personas nuevas que han llegado de otros países como Centroamérica, entre otros, y todavía estamos viviendo la necesidad para proveerles alimentos también a estas personas.
Right now, we are still dealing with the crisis of people that have recently arrived, particularly from Central America, that are also needing food assistance.
So, queremos ver si es posible que la distribución de alimentos se puede continuar durante estos meses mientras las familias se establecen acá. En el área de Olszewski tenemos demasiadas familias nuevas que están llegando y llegan a nuestra iglesia y lo primero que pregunta es cómo si le podemos ayudar con alimentos.
I would like to advocate that food assistance and food distributions continue for the next several months as people that have recently arrived are able to settle and find employment. The first thing that people do when they arrive is come to our church and ask about food if we can provide assistance with that.
Gracias. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Executive and Councilman Patoka. Dean Rundell, I'm here and wearing a couple of hats, although my other hat is under the chair. I'm representing the board for the Pikesville Armory Foundation, and I am the Sudbrook Park Neighborhood Association president. So I have two things to discuss. One is the Armory. You've heard a lot about it, so I'm just going to encourage the county to continue the good work that they've been doing and to fund it and to see it to its completion. The second thing is pedestrian access along Sudbrook Lane from the bridge out to Reisterstown Road. It's a busy corridor. I have a packet here. My wife, Linda, went around and took over 80 signatures on this petition to improve the pedestrian access along that strip, which is nothing right now. There's also a photograph in there of a guy who is disabled going down the middle of the street in his wheelchair because there is no other access along that street. And I know it's been being repaved recently, and that improvement could be made. So that's the other thing I wanted to say. But then there's a third thing too that came up too, and I want to give a shout out to the Pikesville Volunteer Fire Department. They are rock stars in every way. So yeah. So anything there to be helpful would be good too. Thank you.
Dean? So I live in your community association, as you know, in your community, and I want to thank you for being a great president of our community.
Yeah.
Thanks.
By the way, I came to you in a young voice tonight, so I hope you listened closely.
Good one.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cindy Farquhar, and I live in Lockhern. So I'm here to talk about who will be the next police chief, and I'm very sorry I'm the only person. I understand you are taking testimony on that tonight. Sorry I'm the only person doing that. I also am a member of the Baltimore County Committee on Police Accountability. So I have a rhetorical question, which is, what will it take for you, the county executive? What will it take for you, the county councilman? What will it take for you, police officers that are here, to change your minds about police accountability? Well, I'm actually going to try to answer that question, which is, when you start killing young white men, that's when the situation will change. And the reason I know that is because the opiate addiction crisis changed. The whole approach to it has changed because it is now well known that it so involves the white community. On a local level, another question, who of you knows of anything that Chief Melissa Hyatt did wrong? Who of you knows that? What you know, what I know, is that she was persecuted by the Fraternal Order of Police. So when we think about who is going to be the next chief of police, I hope that you and the police department will use your local resource, which is us, the Baltimore County Committee on Police Accountability. We include members of Progressive Democrats, ACLU, Indivisible, League of Women Voters, Progressive Maryland, Statewide Coalition of Maryland Coalition of Justice and Police Accountability, our Revolution, Baltimore County Show Up for Racial Justice, Jews United for Justice, and CASA. And I'm probably missing a few. So the questions that we want you to ask, and you don't need to tell us who the person is that's applying. You don't need to tell us anything about them demographically. Ask them these questions and tell us what their answers are, and we can give you adequate feedback, informed and expert feedback on whether or not they should be hired. And so these questions are, am I done? I have these questions, and I would like for you to take a copy. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Deb Patterson from the Pikesville Township Association. Hi. Have to go fast, I've been told. So I live a quarter mile from the downtown Pikesville, which we affectionately call the CRD, which is Commercial Revitalization District. The problem is that there's little revitalization or economic redevelopment going on right now. We heard mention of the Pikesville Revitalization Action Plan, which we call PRAP. Unfortunately, it's just a bunch of volunteers. There's no real plan, just a jumbled list of projects and long-term goals. There's no project manager, there's no fully dedicated county employees, there's no substantial funding. We need to do better for Pikesville. And yes, I am so excited about the Armory, and it's going to make a huge impact on our corridor. But it's not going to be substantially felt for many years. So the county has to be working on the CRD and the communities of Pikesville now. We ask for the following. In order to have the desired walkable community, we must install sidewalks from adjacent communities to Reisterstown Road. And that includes, as Dean said, sidewalks on Sudbrook Lane from the one-lane bridge to Reisterstown Road. We require funding for public works and highways to return our downtown area to an acceptable state. The sidewalks are atrocious. The county has not maintained the planners and the plantings along Reisterstown per their agreement with the state in 2000. This needs to be corrected immediately. We implore also, and this is from me, that the county make the revitalization and economic redevelopment effort their own initiative and put professional project management in place. I think we just heard that about Liberty Road. Volunteer efforts by themselves are just not going to cut it. They're insufficient. So please, let's make sure that our current efforts in Pikesville don't fall short as they've done before. Baltimore County, Pikesville communities and businesses are counting on you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Claude Dennis, and I would like to first thank Councilman Patoka and County Executive Olszewski. I'm here representing the Woodmore Community Association. We have sent in a list, so I'm just going to briefly go over the top things. Speed kills, as we all know. The Liberty Road corridor, all the way down from the top, from Elkridge, all the way down to Northern Parkway. We need to put in some speed cameras. Also, in our neighborhood, the Woodmore Community Association, from Windsor Mill to Liberty Road, we need to have speed cameras put in to start taxing some of these people. You'd be surprised how much you build up in that budget if you start sending out those tickets. We also need, from Liberty Road to St. Luke's, that is a speed trap. We need that. We have one elementary school, the Woodmore, and then we have Woodlawn Middle. These kids, I'm trying to stop anyone, or we're trying to stop anyone from us burying our kids. So what I'm trying to say is that please look into this traffic situation. Every street that comes off of Essex Road is a trap. Kids can't walk the streets because they're going back and forth to school. They cannot do it. Also, if you can't do that, try to put up some stop signs. I appreciate that. You will see me from now on. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. We love lists. If you haven't connected, is Director Walker here tonight with DPWT? Andrew, you just want to just wave. Sir, if you want to just connect with Director Walker, I know on speed cameras, I believe because it's a state road, I don't think we have the authority to do it on Liberty, but we can certainly look at county roads, both in terms of where our cameras are deployed, but also other speed adjusting activities. So,
Thank you for your comment about the speed cameras. And as you and I spoke the other night, there was one at Essex and St. Luke's, but it's gone. And maybe we can find out where it is, Ms. Walker. Thank you. It's been gone for about a year and a half.
Good evening. My name is Madeline Velasquez. So I wanted to talk about school safety and stuff. So lots of kids in my school, I am a student of Franklin Middle School. I am in 6th grade. There's lots of students who are skipping, leaving school property, and adults in that work in our school, they really don't pay attention. And I feel we need more staff in our school to pay attention to other kids who are just skipping and leaving school property and stuff, because that's I don't know really how to say it, but I just don't really like that and stuff. And and also parents don't know what their children are doing. And also for Hispanic parents who don't speak English. They're like, we need like translate people who like can translate it, like translate. So like they can work to translate, and because like in our school there's like barely people who like speak Spanish and English at the same time. So like, for example, like my mom, if I do something bad, like they have to speak to her in English and she doesn't understand. So, and like there's no one that speaks Spanish, so I have to translate sometimes for her. But like there's a teacher called Miss Anna. She works there. She speaks Spanish and English at the same time. So basically she's like an interpreter for us. And also, I feel like in our school, like we need more opportunities, like for like programs that we can be in. So like maybe we can have opportunities for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madeline. And just like the councilman said earlier, we applaud you for coming and being involved in this process. We especially love hearing from our young people. So we're so proud of you. And you would never have a call home for any trouble in school, right?
Hi, my name is Dawn Seastead. I've been a resident of Gwynn Oak for the past 30 years, and I know a couple other people have been concerned about the Liberty Road corridor, but all the, Gwynn Oak and Woodlawn Village are also neglected communities in dire need, so all the way to Windsor Mill. And I'm here to share some ideas for the revitalization of the Woodlawn Village. I know you're doing a lot of improvements for the senior center and the community center, but I hope those improvements also include child daycare. I think we need to see daycare alongside senior centers in order to promote connections between older adults and children, and maybe even include like a community garden where older adults can work with and alongside children, learning about gardening, the environment, healthy foods, a site for healthy cooking classes, or an intergenerational farmers market. The center needs to be designed in a way that's conducive to enriching programs of all kinds for young and old, and to bring the older folks together with children. It's just a win-win for both of them. It's not just the community center that needs reinvestment, though, it's Woodlawn Village as a whole. There's several businesses that have been vacant for years, some of them 10, 15 years they've been vacant. There's plants and trees growing inside the buildings. The windows are knocked out, and it's been that way for a very long time. The number of vacancies is growing. It's a blight. It attracts crime and further disinvestment. And if the block in front of the community center from Windsor Mill to Woodlawn Drive, if that could be a pedestrian block and just blocked off to traffic, I think that would be a big help. We could, it would return a heart of the community to that area. We really are lacking any central point for Gwynn Oak or Woodlawn area, and that would be a nice, nice revitalization goal for that. Oh, shoot. Yeah, okay. A destination involving more foot traffic would help local businesses and reduce crime. Along with the right incentives, it would attract new businesses, new bakery, coffee shop, flexible workspace, and family-owned restaurant. Okay.
I just want to say, I am really glad that you mentioned Woodlawn Village. It's very personal to me. I actually launched my campaign for county executive there, and so was recently there a couple weeks ago with some of the staff. We are working on the building you referenced. We are planning to and have awards not only for facade improvements, but also to facilitate some additional businesses there and in other Main Street corridors. And we're also just working on things like looking at the sidewalks and other sort of support. So hopefully, if she hasn't left yet, Director Walker is doing some of that. I believe Director Lafferty from planning is not here, but there was also, if someone from planning could sort of stand up and wave. Maybe you can connect as well to talk about some of the great work that we're doing to try to revitalize some of these great communities. So thank you.
Thank you, Dawn, for coming so far to speak.
Hello, my name is Wilmer Manjivar. I am in 8th grade and I go to Woodlawn Middle School. I wanted to talk about the funding, particularly in my school, since there's not a lot of teachers that go to my school, and the new ones are mostly just hall monitors that walk around and make sure people are in their classes. I've heard from some of my peers that they don't even have a teacher in math class and that they can't learn sufficiently. And because of that, they're failing grades or even not passing tests. And I also wanted to talk about how we don't have enough funding for students to have new devices, new bags to carry those devices, or even just supplies to write in, or pencils, pens, and other stuff like that. And even though you guys do have a lot of funding for schools, most schools don't get that funding. Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay. Good night. My name is Isabel Aguilar. I live in Olszewski for 19 years. I pay my taxes. I'm Latina, of course. My English is so. I'm owner to the small business. It's so hard open a business, and we can find in places with language to understand how to administrate a business. We don't want to be we don't want to be dependent to the county. We want to be independent. Yeah. We and here in the town, we have a lot of people with different skills, abilities. We can be contribute to this county. We by educating our community and providing the opportunity to be financially independent, we can contribute more and stop to being a burden. We want to be independent economic. Thank you so much.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es David. Tengo unas preocupaciones que tengo que decirles.
Good evening, my name is David. I have some questions. Actually, I have some concerns that I would like to share.
Todos los días que voy a dejar a mi hija a la escuela, me preocupa mucho los muchachos que pasan afuera alrededor de la escuela. Siempre los veo fumando y yo creo que no están fumando cosa buena. Me imagino que es marihuana.
Every day when I drop off my daughter at school, I'm concerned about the young men that are standing, loitering in front of the school, standing outside the school smoking. I imagine that they're not smoking something good. I imagine they're smoking marijuana.
Quisiera que pusiera en su plan un plan de trabajo, cómo controlar o poner más seguridad dentro y afuera de la escuela para ver qué están haciendo esos muchachos afuera, porque también yo he escuchado de personas o de madres que los acosan adentro de la escuela, que les compren las drogas.
I would like to propose that you add additional funding to security inside and outside the schools. I have heard from mothers that children are being harassed in school. They're being bullied to buy drugs.
Y también necesitamos a los maestros de regreso porque sí los necesitamos y que sean bilingües.
And also we need our teachers to be back at school, and we also need bilingual teachers.
Por favor, necesitamos más seguridad y protección porque no me gusta lo de las drogas.
Please, we need additional security for our children. I don't like the drug use.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Sir, before you leave, perhaps with Juliana, we can connect with Chief Delp, and we can find out who the school resource officer might be to try to work with you to address some of the concerns at the school. But I also appreciate the general comments and feedback.
Good evening. My name is Viviana Lozano, and I am part of the non-profit organization CASA. I don't know if you already know about the suffering the community, the undocumented community, because they don't have not be able to get health insurance. They or we pay taxes like every other residents of the county, but they not be able to buy or get any medical care when they go to the hospital for an emergency, or when they don't even be able to get a checkout, because the first thing they ask every time when they go to any medical is they asking for if they had any insurance. My question is what is the county and the district, what are they gonna do for the undocumented immigrant community to be included in any budget about health care or access to care? Because even we want to buy health insurance, we cannot do it because our immigration status.
Thank you for that. So I believe healthy communities are strong communities, and while health insurance issues are regulated at the state level, we want to work very closely with you, with CASA, with other organizations committed to ensuring that our people are protected and have the coverage they need to protect themselves and their families. So is anyone here from Government Affairs tonight? Kimmy Routson is our Deputy Director. Is that Kimmy? Okay. We would love to connect and make sure that we have the right pieces of legislation that is being considered at the state so that we can be a partner.
We had a member of CASA who had been having a lot of, she had a story about her being without her insurance.
Buenas noches. Quiero hablar un poquito de lo que a mí me ha sucedido por no tener un seguro médico.
I wanted to share what happened to me because I don't have health insurance.
Me ha tocado salir de acá del condado de Baltimore, me ha tocado que ir hasta para Silver Spring y no me han podido atender allá en los hospitales por no vivir por allá.
I've had to leave the county, go to Silver Springs to seek medical services, and because I don't live in Silver Springs, they won't treat me.
Regresé aquí y aquí no me han podido atender todavía mi enfermedad. Necesito una operación y todavía no me han podido atender.
I had to come back to Baltimore to seek medical services, but still I have not been able to get medical services. I need a surgery and I cannot have it because of my health insurance.
Por no tener un seguro médico, entonces, no sé, estamos aquí para ver en qué nos pueden ayudar a nosotros, que como seres humanos pues tenemos derechos también, pagamos los impuestos, trabajamos, entonces, ¿qué pueden hacer en la comunidad? Así como sufro yo, sí puede estar sufriendo mucha de mi comunidad.
Because I don't have health insurance, I can't get dignified health care. Like everybody else that lives in the county, I work and I pay taxes and I contribute to the well-being of the county. However, I'm not able to get basic health care. My suffering is not unique. There are many other people like me that are suffering this situation.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you for your courage and sharing.
Mr. County Executive, that was the final.
Okay. Any parting words from you, Councilman, and then
Just want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Thank County Executive Olszewski for taking his evening tonight and spending it with us. So thank you so much, County Executive, and thank you to everyone that joined us.
And thank you, Councilman Patoka. Thank you to all our department folks, and most importantly, thank you. We'll see you all at the next town hall or around town. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.